Welcome, weary travelers. Tonight, we're checking into hotels where the guest list includes more than just living souls. These haunted establishments are filled with restless spirits, each room holding stories of tragedy, love, and unresolved mysteries. From ghostly apparitions in the hallways to unsettling whispers in the night, these hotels are not just places to stay, they're portals to the past. So, grab your key and prepare for a stay that might keep you up all night. Welcome to the Haunted Hotels, where every room has a story waiting to be uncovered. The Stanley Hotel, Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel, located in the picturesque Estes Park, Colorado, is one of the most iconic haunted hotels in the United States. Opened in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, the hotel was originally conceived as a luxury retreat for wealthy Easterners seeking the clean mountain air of the Rockies. Stanley, who had made his fortune manufacturing the Stanley steamer automobile, came to Estes Park in 1903 to recuperate from tuberculosis, which at the time had no known cure. The crisp, clean mountain air worked wonders for Stanley's health, and in gratitude, he decided to give something back to the community by building a grand hotel. The Stanley Hotel was designed in the colonial revival style, with 142 rooms, each lavishly appointed to cater to the affluent visitors it hoped to attract. The hotel also boasted modern amenities that were cutting edge for the time, including telephones, electricity, and ensuite bathrooms. It quickly became a favored destination for high society, and its reputation for luxury is still intact today. However, along with its history of opulence and grandeur, the Stanley Hotel developed a far darker reputation over the years, becoming notorious for its ghostly inhabitants. Today, the Stanley Hotel is not only a luxury destination but also a mecca for paranormal enthusiasts, thanks in part to its haunted reputation. The hotel's fame skyrocketed after Stephen King's stay in 1974, which inspired his best-selling novel The Shining. Although the hotel was not the direct setting for the Overlook Hotel in the novel, the Stanley served only as an inspiration. Its association with the supernatural has only grown since King's stay. The Stanley Hotel is said to be home to numerous ghosts, from long-deceased guests to former employees who still work at the hotel in the afterlife. Paranormal activity is reported all over the building, but certain rooms and areas have become particularly infamous for their supernatural occurrences. Room 217 is perhaps the most famous haunted room in the Stanley Hotel. This room became infamous after Stephen King and his wife, Tabitha, stayed there in 1974. The couple had the hotel nearly to themselves, as it was in the off-season, and King described the eerie feeling of wandering the long, empty halls. That night, King had a vivid nightmare about his young son being chased through the corridors by a fire hose. He woke up in a cold sweat and immediately conceived the idea for The Shining. However, the hauntings in room 217 go far beyond King's imagination. The room is said to be haunted by the ghost of Elizabeth Wilson, the hotel's former head housekeeper. In 1911, there was a massive gas explosion in room 217. At the time, Wilson had entered the room with a lit candle, unknowingly triggering the explosion. She was injured but survived and continued to work at the hotel until her death in the 1950s. Despite her passing, it seems Elizabeth Wilson never truly left the Stanley. Guests staying in room 217 have reported strange occurrences, such as luggage being unpacked while they were out, lights turning on and off by themselves, and objects moving of their own accord. One of the most common reports is that of beds being mysteriously made, as if by an unseen hand, even when the room had not been serviced by housekeeping. Some male guests have even claimed they felt an invisible presence pushing them out of bed, as though Wilson disapproved of unmarried couples sharing a room. One well-known story involves a newlywed couple who stayed in room 217. During the night, the husband felt a strange sensation and woke up to find himself pushed to the floor. He later recounted that it felt as if someone had physically shoved him off the bed. The couple checked out early the next morning, visibly shaken by the experience. Another haunted hotspot in the Stanley Hotel is the concert hall. Built as a lavish entertainment space, the concert hall is now one of the most paranormally active areas of the hotel. One of the most frequently cited spirits here is that of Paul, a former hotel handyman who loved his job so much that he continues to work at the Stanley, even in death. Paul passed away in the late 20th century but was known during his life for enforcing the hotel's strict curfews. Guests and staff have reported hearing his voice in the concert hall, telling them to get out after hours, just as he did when he was alive. Several visitors have felt a ghostly presence near them, and some have even claimed to have been physically pushed by an unseen force. One paranormal investigation team recorded a chilling encounter with Paul. During their exploration of the concert hall, they asked if Paul could communicate. In response, they heard distinct knocks and taps, which seemed to be in direct response to their questions. They also captured several eerie EVP, electronic voice phenomena, recordings of what they believed to be Paul's voice. In addition to Paul, the concert hall is also home to the ghost of a little girl named Lucy, who is said to wander the stage area. According to local lore, Lucy was a homeless girl who sought shelter in the Stanley's concert hall on a cold night. Tragically, she froze to death. Visitors to the hall often report hearing a child's laughter or feeling the sensation of a small hand grasping theirs. Some have even seen Lucy's ghost, dressed in a pink dress, darting through the concert hall before disappearing into thin air. The fourth floor of the Stanley Hotel is another well-known area of paranormal activity. Originally, this floor housed the servants' quarters, and it's believed that the spirits of former employees and their children still linger here. Guests staying on this floor have reported hearing the sound of children laughing and playing in the hallways, even when no children are present in the hotel. The sound of running footsteps, giggling, and bouncing balls are common occurrences. One specific room on the fourth floor, Room 401, is known for its intense paranormal activity. Guests have reported hearing furniture moving on its own, doors opening and closing, and lights flickering without explanation. Some have even witnessed the apparition of a tall man standing in the corner of the room, staring at them before vanishing. The spirit most often associated with the fourth floor is that of a boy named Billy. He is said to be particularly playful, often moving objects or making small noises to get the attention of guests. On occasion, people staying in room 401 have reported feeling as though someone was watching them or pulling on their clothes, only to find that no one else was in the room. One of the strangest and most unsettling areas of the Stanley Hotel is its grand staircase, which has earned the nickname the Vortex. This staircase connects the lobby to the second floor and is considered a hotbed of paranormal activity. Visitors and staff have reported feeling sudden cold spots, dizziness, and disorientation when ascending the stairs, as if they were passing through some sort of energy field. Paranormal investigators believe that the staircase might be a portal, or a vortex, through which spirits enter and leave the hotel. Numerous guests have reported capturing strange anomalies in photographs taken on or near the staircase, including unexplained mists, orbs, and shadowy figures. One of the most famous photographs taken at the Stanley Hotel was shot on these stairs. A guest captured an image of a ghostly woman in old-fashioned clothing descending the staircase. The figure was not seen by anyone at the time, and the image remains one of the most compelling pieces of evidence of the Stanley's haunted reputation. The Stanley Hotel has fully embraced its haunted history and now offers nightly ghost tours that take visitors through the most paranormally active areas, including the basement, concert hall, and of course, Room 217. The hotel has become a popular destination for ghost hunters and paranormal investigators from around the world. Shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures have filmed episodes there, capturing what they claim to be compelling evidence of supernatural activity. Despite the numerous ghost sightings and reports of strange occurrences, the Stanley Hotel continues to operate as a luxury hotel, attracting both skeptics and believers alike. Guests can choose to stay in one of the hotel's famously haunted rooms, such as Room 217 or Room 401, or opt for a more normal experience in one of the less paranormally active rooms. Whether you're a fan of the paranormal or simply drawn by the hotel's rich history and stunning mountain views, the Stanley Hotel remains one of the most intriguing and haunted destinations in the United States. The spirits that wander its halls seem as much a part of the hotel as its grand architecture, and they ensure that the Stanley's reputation as one of America's most haunted hotels will endure for generations to come. Let's move on to the next haunted hotel, the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Known as America's most haunted hotel, It has a history filled with eerie events, tragic deaths, and hauntings that continue to attract ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. The Crescent Hotel, located in the scenic Ozark Mountains of Arkansas, was built in 1886 by the Eureka Springs Improvement Company and the Frisco Railroad. The area was already a popular destination for tourists due to its mineral springs, which were believed to have healing properties. The hotel was designed to be a luxurious resort for the wealthy elite, offering guests an elegant escape from the rigors of city life. At the time of its construction, the Crescent was considered one of the most luxurious hotels in the country, boasting features such as electric lighting, modern plumbing, and an enormous ballroom. However, the grandeur of the hotel was overshadowed by the tragic events that would soon unfold, leaving a legacy of death and ghostly activity in its wake. Despite its early success, the hotel struggled to maintain its reputation and, over the years, was repurposed several times. It served as a girls' conservatory for a period and even operated as a junior college. However, its darkest chapter began in the late 1930s when it became the Baker Cancer Hospital under the direction of Norman G. Baker, a man who claimed to have a miracle cure for cancer. In 1937, Norman Baker, a man with no medical training, purchased the Crescent Hotel and transformed it into the Baker Cancer Hospital. Baker was a charismatic figure and a self-proclaimed doctor who claimed he could cure cancer without surgery, radiation, or chemotherapy. He advertised his treatments through radio broadcasts and promised desperate patients miraculous recoveries. In reality, Baker's cure was nothing more than a fraudulent mixture of ingredients that did nothing to help the sick. Many patients came to the Crescent Hotel seeking Baker's help, only to spend their final days in agony. It is believed that hundreds of patients died under his care, their hopes dashed by false promises. Baker's hospital operated for 3 years before he was finally arrested by federal authorities in 1940 for mail fraud, but by that time, the damage had already been done. Many of the patients who died in the Crescent were left to be embalmed in the hotel's basement, which was used as a makeshift morgue. This dark period in the hotel's history left behind a residual energy that many believe contributes to the paranormal activity still experienced at the Crescent today. After Baker's arrest, the Crescent fell into disrepair until it was purchased and restored in the 1990s. However, the spirits of those who suffered under Baker's care are said to linger, and the Crescent Hotel has earned its reputation as one of the most haunted locations in America. The Crescent Hotel is now known more for its ghosts than its luxurious past. The hauntings at the Crescent are numerous, and visitors and staff alike have reported encounters with spirits that range from mischievous to downright terrifying. Paranormal activity is not limited to one specific area of the hotel. Apparitions have been seen in the hallways, rooms, the morgue, and even in the gardens surrounding the hotel. Below are some of the most famous hauntings at the Crescent Hotel. One of the most famous ghosts at the Crescent Hotel is that of Theodora, a former patient of Dr. Baker's Cancer Hospital. Theodora is often seen near room 419, where she is believed to have stayed during her time at the Crescent. Guests who stay in room 419 have reported seeing the apparition of a woman who introduces herself as Theodora, dressed in a hospital gown. She is described as a pleasant but tragic figure, often seen tidying up the room or rearranging guests' belongings. Some guests have even reported finding their suitcases neatly packed or unpacked when they return to the room after leaving for the day. Theodora's presence is not malevolent, but rather sorrowful. It's believed that she was one of the many patients who came to the Crescent seeking a cure for cancer, only to die in the hotel's makeshift hospital. Visitors have also reported hearing her footsteps in the hallway, and the scent of her perfume lingers in the air long after she has vanished. One particularly chilling encounter involved a guest who, after checking into room 419, saw Theodora sitting in a chair at the foot of the bed. The guest asked her who she was, and she responded simply, "I'm Theodora. I'm just waiting." When the guest asked what she was waiting for, Theodora smiled and faded away, leaving the room icy cold. This haunting encounter is typical of Theodora's appearances, where she seems to be reliving her final days at the hotel, waiting for a cure that never came. Room 218 is another hotbed of paranormal activity at the Crescent Hotel and is considered one of the most haunted rooms in the building. The spirit that haunts room 218 is believed to be that of Michael, an Irish stonemason who worked on the construction of the hotel in the late 1800s. According to local lore, Michael fell to his death while working on the roof of the hotel. He landed in what is now room 218, and his restless spirit has haunted the room ever since. Guests staying in room 218 have reported a variety of strange occurrences, including doors opening and closing by themselves, lights flickering, and objects being moved without explanation. Some guests have even felt the sensation of being pushed or touched by an invisible hand. One of the most frequently reported phenomena in room 218 is the sound of heavy footsteps, as if someone is pacing back and forth, even when the room is empty. One particularly unsettling incident occurred when a guest staying in room 218 was woken in the middle of the night by the sound of heavy breathing coming from the foot of the bed. When the guests looked, they saw the shadowy figure of a man standing there, staring at them. The figure slowly dissolved into the darkness, leaving the guest terrified and unable to sleep for the rest of the night. Michael is known to be a mischievous spirit, and guests have reported hearing his laughter echoing through the halls. He also has a habit of playing tricks on people, such as locking or unlocking doors and moving objects around the room. Despite his pranks, Michael's spirit is not considered dangerous, and many visitors leave the hotel with nothing more than a story to tell. The basement of the Crescent Hotel is perhaps the most terrifying and paranormally active area of the building. During Dr. Baker's time running the hotel as a cancer hospital, the basement served as a morgue where the bodies of deceased patients were stored. The morgue also housed an autopsy table and a crematorium, though the latter was never fully operational. The macabre history of the basement has left a deep imprint, and many believe that the spirits of Baker's patients still linger in this area. Visitors to the basement have reported hearing strange noises, including moaning, crying, and the unmistakable sound of gurney wheels squeaking across the floor. Some have seen the apparition of a nurse pushing a gurney through the halls, only for her to disappear through a wall where a door once existed. The basement is also known for its cold spots and sudden drops in temperature, which are often accompanied by the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. One of the most infamous spirits in the basement is that of Dr. Baker himself. He has been seen wandering the halls, dressed in a white suit, just as he did when he ran his fraudulent hospital. Baker's spirit is said to be a dark and foreboding presence, and many visitors who encounter him describe feeling a sense of dread and oppression. Some paranormal investigators have captured EVP recordings in which a male voice can be heard saying, "I'm still here," believed to be the voice of Dr. Baker. The morgue also holds a piece of grisly evidence from Baker's time at the hotel, a bottle containing preserved human tissue, thought to be remnants from one of his patients. This eerie artifact only adds to the chilling atmosphere of the basement, and many visitors refuse to spend more than a few minutes in this part of the hotel. Throughout the hotel, guests and staff have reported seeing the ghostly figure of a nurse who is believed to have worked during the hotel's time as a cancer hospital. Dressed in a traditional 1930s nurse's uniform, she is often seen pushing a gurney down the hallways or attending to patients who are no longer there. She is most frequently spotted in the early morning hours, around 4 a.m., when the hotel is quietest. Guests have also reported hearing the sounds of gurneys being wheeled down the halls, followed by the soft murmur of voices, as though nurses and doctors are still attending to their duties in the afterlife. These phantom sounds are often accompanied by cold drafts, sudden temperature changes, and the distinct feeling of being watched. The ghostly nurse is said to be a benign spirit, simply reliving her days of service, but her presence is unsettling for many guests who encounter her. Today, the Crescent Hotel has fully embraced its haunted reputation. The hotel offers nightly ghost tours that take visitors through the most paranormally active areas, including the basement morgue, room 218, and the hallways where the nurse is often seen. Paranormal investigators from around the world have visited the Crescent, capturing chilling EVPs, photographs of apparitions, and even video footage of unexplained phenomena. The Crescent Hotel has been featured on numerous paranormal television shows, including Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures. In one particularly memorable investigation, the team from Ghost Hunters captured footage of a thermal image that appeared to show a figure sitting in a chair in one of the hotel's rooms, even though no one was physically present at the time. Despite its dark past, the Crescent Hotel continues to operate as a luxury destination for guests seeking both relaxation and a brush with the supernatural. The hotel's owners have worked hard to restore its original beauty, but the spirits of those who suffered under Dr. Baker's care seem to have remained behind, ensuring that the Crescent will always be known as America's most haunted hotel. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, the Crescent Hotel offers a unique experience that blends history, tragedy, and the paranormal. Guests who stay here are just as likely to leave with a ghost story as they are with fond memories of the hotel's stunning architecture and beautiful surroundings. The next haunted hotel on our list is the Langham Hotel in London, one of the city's oldest and most prestigious hotels, with a history steeped in opulence, royalty, and ghostly phenomena. It's famous not only for its luxury but also for the numerous reports of paranormal encounters that have kept both guests and paranormal enthusiasts intrigued for decades. Located in the heart of London, the Langham Hotel was established in 1865, making it one of the first grand hotels in the city. Designed by John Giles and constructed for the astronomical cost of £300,000, a massive sum for that time, the Langham was the brainchild of James Sanderson, an English entrepreneur. It quickly became known as a luxury establishment for wealthy travelers and dignitaries visiting London. The Langham's reputation for grandeur attracted a host of notable figures throughout its history, including Mark Twain, Oscar Wilde, and royalty from across Europe. With 380 rooms, including extravagant suites, dining rooms, and even a ballroom, it was one of the most modern and opulent hotels in the world. However, its rich history and elegance aren't the only things that make the Langham an iconic landmark. It has also earned a reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in the world. Over the years, there have been countless reports of paranormal activity, ranging from ghostly apparitions to poltergeist-like occurrences, making it a prime destination for ghost hunters and curious guests alike. The Langham Hotel's paranormal activity has been well documented, with sightings dating back to the late 19th century. The hotel has been home to several well-known spirits, each with a distinct and eerie backstory. Visitors and staff have reported apparitions in Victorian-era clothing, strange noises, and inexplicable occurrences, often concentrated in particular rooms. Some of the most frequently encountered spirits include a German prince, a doctor, and a former butler. The hotel's paranormal history is so notorious that it has been featured on several ghost hunting shows, including Most Haunted and Ghost Hunters International. Here are some of the most famous ghost stories associated with the Langham Hotel. Room 333 is perhaps the most infamous spot in the entire hotel. It has been the site of numerous ghost sightings and strange occurrences, with many guests refusing to stay there after experiencing unexplainable phenomena. One of the most well-known apparitions in room 333 is that of a man dressed in Victorian evening wear. The ghost is often seen in the middle of the night, particularly in October, when the paranormal activity seems to intensify. According to several accounts, guests have awoken in the early hours of the morning to find the figure standing by their bed. He has been described as wearing a black suit, with his arms outstretched, and sometimes emits a low, guttural groan before disappearing. One particularly chilling story comes from a BBC News anchor who stayed in room 333 in the 1970s. The anchor reported waking up in the middle of the night to see a fluorescent ball of light hovering at the foot of his bed. The light began to take shape, forming into a ghostly figure that appeared to be missing its lower body. The apparition floated toward him before vanishing into thin air. Needless to say, the anchor requested to be moved to another room for the rest of his stay. But this Victorian gentleman isn't the only ghost said to haunt room 333. The ghost of a German prince is also said to roam the room. This prince allegedly met his untimely end by either jumping out of or being pushed from the window of his room during World War I. Guests who have stayed in room 333 have reported hearing the sound of someone weeping softly, and some have even seen the spectral figure of a man near the window, staring forlornly before disappearing into thin air. As mentioned, one of the most famous spirits haunting the Langham is the ghost of a German prince who tragically died during World War I. It is believed that the prince either undeaded himself by leaping from a window or was murdered by being pushed from one of the upper floors. His spirit is said to wander the halls of the hotel, especially around room 333, where he is often spotted by guests and staff alike. Those who have encountered the German prince describe him as a melancholy figure, dressed in military uniform, who appears near the windows late at night. Some guests have even reported feeling a strange compulsion to look out of the window, as though the prince's spirit is beckoning them to follow him in his final act. Others have heard the sound of sobbing and footsteps pacing the floor, even when no one else is in the room. One particularly unnerving encounter involved a guest who awoke to find the ghost of the German prince standing at the foot of his bed, gazing out of the window. The guest described feeling an overwhelming sense of sorrow, as though the ghost was reliving the moments before his tragic death. The figure then turned and locked eyes with the guest before vanishing without a trace. Another ghostly figure that haunts the Langham is believed to be a doctor who murdered his wife while on their honeymoon at the hotel before taking his own life. This tragic event reportedly took place in the early 1900s, and since then, the spirits of both the doctor and his wife have been seen by guests staying on the third floor. Witnesses claim to have seen the figure of a man wearing a Victorian suit, with a look of intense sadness on his face. He is often seen pacing the halls or standing near the window of what was once his room. Some guests have reported hearing the sounds of a violent argument, followed by a woman's scream, echoing through the halls late at night. The ghost of the doctor's wife has also been spotted in the hallways, often dressed in a long, white gown. She is said to appear distraught, sometimes holding her throat as though reenacting her final moments. Guests who have encountered her describe a cold, eerie feeling that fills the room when she appears, followed by an overwhelming sense of dread. Both the doctor and his wife are believed to be trapped in a perpetual cycle of their tragic demise, their spirits unable to rest due to the violent nature of their deaths. Their presence adds to the haunted history of the Langham, making the third floor one of the most paranormally active areas of the hotel. The Langham is also said to be haunted by the ghost of a former butler who worked at the hotel during its early years. He has been seen by numerous guests, particularly in the corridors and common areas, still dressed in his uniform and performing his duties as though he were still alive. The apparition of the butler is often seen going about his tasks in a methodical and silent manner, as if unaware that he has passed on. Several guests have reported seeing the butler in the hallway outside their rooms, only to have him vanish as they approached. Others have described hearing the sound of footsteps and the faint clinking of silverware, as though someone were preparing a tray of tea, only to find no one there when they investigate. While the butler's spirit doesn't seem malevolent, his presence is unnerving for those who encounter him. Some guests have even reported feeling a sudden drop in temperature when he is near, and others have experienced strange electrical disturbances, such as lights flickering or appliances turning on and off by themselves. Room 502, the shadowy figure. Room 502 is another location within the Langham that is notorious for paranormal activity. Guests who have stayed in this room have reported seeing a shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed or by the door. The figure is often described as tall and thin, with indistinct features, almost as if it is made of pure shadow. One guest who stayed in room 502 in the 1990s reported waking up in the middle of the night to see the dark figure standing by the door. At first, she thought it was just a trick of the light, but when the figure began moving toward her, she screamed and turned on the light, only to find that the room was empty. She later discovered that several other guests had experienced similar sightings in room 502. The shadowy figure is believed to be one of the many lost souls who have wandered the halls of the Langham over the years. Some speculate that it may be the spirit of a former guest who died in the hotel, while others believe it could be a manifestation of the hotel's long and troubled history. Hauntings throughout the hotel. While certain rooms in the Langham are known for their paranormal activity, ghostly encounters have been reported throughout the hotel. The hotel's grand staircase, in particular, is said to be a hotspot for ghostly sightings. Guests have reported seeing a woman in Victorian attire descending the staircase, only to vanish before reaching the bottom. The ballroom is another area where spirits are often encountered. Guests attending events in the ballroom have reported hearing the sound of music playing when no musicians are present, as well as seeing shadowy figures dancing across the floor. Some have even felt cold, unseen hands brushing against them as they stand in the ballroom. Even the hotel's elevators have not escaped the paranormal activity. Several guests have reported feeling an eerie presence while riding the elevators, as though they were being watched by an unseen entity. In some cases, the elevators have inexplicably stopped on floors where no one has pressed the button, only to open their doors to reveal an empty hallway. Given its reputation as one of the most haunted hotels in the world, the Langham Hotel has become a focal point for paranormal enthusiasts and ghost hunters. While the hotel doesn't officially offer ghost tours, many guests and investigators have taken it upon themselves to document the strange occurrences within its walls. Several paranormal investigation teams, including those from shows like Most Haunted and Ghost Hunters International, have explored the hotel, focusing on areas like Room 333, Room 502, the Grand Staircase, and the Ballroom. These teams have reported capturing evidence of ghostly activity, including EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, strange temperature drops, and unexplained electromagnetic disturbances. Many guests who stay at the hotel are drawn by its haunted reputation, and several of them leave with their own chilling experiences. While some skeptics dismiss these ghostly encounters as tricks of the mind, others leave convinced that the Langham is indeed home to restless spirits. Despite its eerie reputation, the Langham remains a luxury hotel, attracting guests from all over the world, both for its historical grandeur and for the possibility of experiencing something supernatural. The hotel has undergone extensive renovations over the years to maintain its status as a premier destination in London, but the hauntings seem to have persisted, even with the modern updates. Today, guests continue to report strange phenomena, particularly in the infamous Room 333. The Langham has embraced its haunted history to some degree, with stories of ghostly sightings being part of its allure, though it remains primarily focused on providing a luxurious and elegant experience for its patrons. If you've made it through the night, consider yourself fortunate. Many guests have checked in but never checked out. If these spine-tingling tales intrigued you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You never know when the ghosts might return for another round. Until next time, remember, the next time you book a room, it might just come with a haunting.